Chiara, sou Gabriela do Brasil.
Ciao, Chiara. I'm Gabriela from Brazil. Chiara, can you tell us about your vocation? And as some of us should feel this call, how should we answer?
This story, too, is very well known. Even the little children younger than you, the younger gen, know it. In any case, there might be one person here who does not know it, so I will tell it. I was at home. I had 2 younger sisters and an older brother. We were rather poor. Not so poor that we had to beg, but we certainly were not rich. My mother always wanted me to study. You must study, don't waste time. The other 2 girls can do the housework. You must study, you must study. So I studied. One very cold winter's day, we needed milk. But that meant walking 2 kilometers to get the milk. My mother said to one of my sisters, "Go buy some milk." And she replied, "Mom, it's cold. I can't go out in this cold. How can I walk 2 kilometers in this cold?" So then she said to my other sister, "You go to get the milk." "Mom, how can I go?" So wanting to do an act of love. Do you see how important an act of love is? God calls when we love. So wanting to do an act of love, I said, "Mom, I'll go this time. Give me the bottle." My mom gave me the bottle, and I started out on this long walk. Halfway there, with this bottle in my hand, happy to have done an act of love, I had the impression, just an impression, that the heavens opened up above me, and it was just an impression, and I understood. I didn't hear anything with my ears, but I understood with my soul. Give yourself completely to me. It was the call. It was the voice of God telling me, consecrate yourself to me. Give yourself completely to me. This made me immensely happy. So then I continued walking along the road. I got the milk and went back home. I didn't tell anyone at home what had happened, but I knew a priest who was my spiritual director, and I wrote him a letter that was filled with fire. I told him I want to belong completely to God. I want to consecrate myself completely to God. When he read that letter, so filled with fire, he said, "We don't usually give permission to do this because girls might change their mind, etc. But what should I do in this case?" So he consulted another priest who was older and had more experience. He asked him, "What would you do with this girl?" "Oh, I would let her do it." But not satisfied yet, he said, "I should question her, I'll question her, and confront her with difficulties involved." So he called me. I thought he would encourage me. Instead, he said to me, "You'll end up alone. Your sisters and your brother will get married. They will have children. You see, there won't be anyone. Look at how many you are now." He said, "There won't be anyone." He was playing the part of what is called the devil's advocate. He tried to tempt me to see if I would resist. I replied, "For as long as there is the living presence of Jesus in a tabernacle, in a church, I will never be alone." That answer was enough. He gave me permission to give myself to God forever. That date arrived. It was early in the morning on the 7th of December, the day before the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. I didn't say anything to my mother. She saw me leave the house early in the morning. I put on the best dress I had. It was raining outside, and I was going up towards the church, which was on a rather high hilltop. The storm was raging, and I remembered that I had to hold my umbrella like this in front of me, going against the wind and rain. I really had the impression that someone didn't want me to take that step. Instead, I kept going. When I reached the church, I saw that the priest had prepared a kneeler for me. He said to me, "Come here. When I hold up the sacred host before communion, you can tell Jesus whatever you want to tell him." I had a little missal which I used during Mass to read and pray. When the moment came and the priest elevated the host, I said to Jesus, "Jesus, I want to be all yours." But before this, I had understood what I was doing. I was leaving the world behind me. I would no longer be able to turn back. It was as though a bridge were crumbling behind me, and I remembered that a tear fell on my missal. Just the same, I said, "Jesus, I want to be all yours." And I did it. I returned home, and as I said, we were poor. Even though I was teaching, we were poor. With the little money I had, I bought 3 red carnations and brought them home. My mother thought that I had gone to some kind of church service. As soon as I arrived home, I had to give lessons, also in order to earn some money, to a young lady who then became one of my first companions. I gave the lesson, but I wasn't able to keep it a secret from her. I didn't tell my parents, but I couldn't keep it from her. She came with me too, so then we were 2 and then 3 and then 4. This is how everything started. Then the young men came. This is how the movement began. You asked me here, if we feel something inside too, what should we do? If only you would feel it, if only you would feel it, if only Jesus would choose you. I know that on that day, my heart was filled with love, crazy with happiness. I had married God. I expected everything from him. You know, if someone had told me, Chiara, a movement will be born, it would have seemed too small. Now the movement is very big. You yourself said that we were all over the world, but compared to what God can do, I had married God. This is how it all began. If you hear this call, be careful. Answer with generosity. At least ask for help. Yes, Jesus, I want this as long as you help me, and he will do it.